Hi besties, it's Kody from Without a Crystal Ball. Do you know I have something I was thinking about? I was watching the tell all and Kody Brown kept trying to deflect and he didn't want to answer questions and he didn't want to talk about what went wrong, and I understand it's because everyone's moved on, but something felt different. It felt more like Kody wanted to shut down the conversation because he didn't want to hear anyone else's point of view. He didn't want to hear anyone else's take on what happened. He at one point even told Suki that he didn't want to be gaslit by her or anyone else about what he experienced or what happened to him, because they have a bias about what they saw, and actually that's not really what the idea of gaslighting is. Kody really doesn't know what gaslighting is. He loves to throw the world word around, and I find it ironic, but just so he knows, gaslighting is actually a form of psychological manipulation where someone's made to question their own perceptions, memories, and sanity. It's a tactic often used in DV or controlling relationships, and it's done to control a person. The gaslighter denies what they did or said or attempts to make the victim believe that their perception of reality is wrong, so he's trying to say that I'm a victim of everyone else. The gaslighter downplays the victim's feelings or experiences, making them feel invalid or unimportant. Again, he's trying to claim that he's the victim. To be gaslit, you would have to be a victim, and he was the one that had all the control in these relationships, and it says shifting blame. The gaslight may deflect responsibility by blaming the victim or making them believe they are the problem. The gaslighter may refuse to share information or engage in a meaningful way, further isolating the victim by contradicting themselves, manipulating facts, and reframing events. The gaslighter creates confusion and uncertainty. He actually did a lot of gaslighting last night, and one of the gaslighting tactics he used was talking about how at one point in time he had this thought about how he wanted to have a guy's weekend with David, which I'm sure is BS, and then when David makes a comment like, oh yeah, I mean sure we could do that, but there would be rules. And I'm pretty confident the rules are that he wouldn't go, you know what I mean. I think that David and Christine were trying their best to be kind in that moment without saying they would never do it, you know, but then when it was brought back to Kody that he would actually consider doing that, then Kody was like, oh no, we wouldn't do that. So it's like he contradicted himself, right? He's like, oh, I would do that. And then he would be like, no, I wouldn't do that. No, I wouldn't do. So he was the one actually gaslighting in this entire episode. But something I noticed about what was going on between him and Christine, and this was at the end of the episode, they were discussing him meeting David for the first time, and he initially believed that David was trying to hit on his wife. I mean, that's all, but what he said, he was trying to let us know that he's a good man, that he's a family man, that he's a great grandfather, and he's a cool dad. And I just didn't know what his intentions were, meaning in the polygamy world, if a guy does that, they're trying to like hit on your wife. I don't know, it's clear to me that Kody still looks at other men as competition, and that he still needs to mark his territory, and Robyn, for her own part of this, refused to watch videos that of Christine was trying to deny that Kody had any jealousy of David and Christine's relationship, and that he's always red, and his complexion is always red, so he wasn't angry with David, and maybe that's true, and maybe he wasn't jealous of Christine, but maybe he was truly thinking that David was going to hit on his wife. Honestly, I don't think Kody has any jealousy towards Christine anymore. I don't think he wants Christine in any capacity, but I do know that some of this animosity that they're experiencing and his really lack of wanting to speak about Christine, or even, like, you know, on the one hand saying, oh, yeah, we should do this, and then the next minute calling her undermining, well, I did a search, and this was filmed in October. Christine posted on her Instagram it was October early, like 2nd or 3rd, that they were in Sedona to film this of 2024, meaning that when they were in Sedona, Christine had already filed for child custody, paternity, and child support. So marinate on that for a second. I'd have to talk a lot about it beforehand and just be like, I'd be a mess before I would be. I'd be like, I don't know if I can do this, and he and Dave would be like, it's going to be okay, you're going to be fine, I'm here, I got you. You have a lot of nervousness about that, and a lot of nervousness about being around them right now, 'cause who he thinks I am isn't me. I gave it everything that I was. Everything that I did was for the family. Whatever he needed, I did, 'cause when I do anything, I am all in. It was pretty obvious to me that Christine is terrified to be around Kody, and terrified in a way that I feel like there are things that happen that we don't know about, but the further she is away from him, it's obvious that she has anger and frustration, and she really wants him to be accountable. It's very obvious that Christine, more than any of the others, wants to call out Kody for being the abusive person that he was. It is very clear to me that Christine has had more time away to see clarity. I think being with her husband David has helped quite a bit. I know that David has discussed therapy, and it in many ways almost feels like she's gone through some therapy. I'm assuming she has, because she was talking about how Kody uses the women, how he manipulated them, he played mind games, he led them on. He was very awful to them. Manipulative mind games, abusive, using them. She's very clearly connecting what she experienced and what we all saw, that he was playing mind games. And I think when they were talking about them being in the same room, she's nervous, because when you're around the person that was abusive to you, and you probably have PTSD from it. She has said that she has PTSD from what she experienced in Flagstaff, so I'm assuming that's true. It can trigger things, because he would be in a room with her and try to tell her something that's not true, because people like Kody don't change. They can't change. He doesn't care to change. He has two speeds, either manipulating or lying or shutting things down and isolating so that he can control, and he would never take accountability. And even when he does take accountability, it's, in my opinion, it's very much to shut down a conversation. It's not because he actually is accountable. And while she is saying this, and she's talking about being fearful of being around him, it would give her great anxiety, because he would talk to her in a way where he would tell her things that are not true. It's very easy for people that have been abused by their abusers to get drawn back in, so it's very important that sometimes people keep a hard line and a boundary. And I just know this from going through this myself. I'm not a psychologist, but she had filed for custody and child support and paternity like 2 or 3 weeks before this is filmed. So obviously there was a reason why she did that, and the fact that she was nervous and scared to be around him. There's a reason why she did what she did, for Truly and for herself, so that, it could be settled in a court, because they couldn't do it privately. But it was also very obvious that Kody wasn't happy with the fact that she had done this, because of how he responded to this idea that in the future, maybe someday, they could all get together. And she actually said, yeah, possible double date in the future. She was open to it. We just haven't healed that much. Have you seen each other that much to heal? Maybe that would be a first step. Yeah, maybe not. Why? Personal reasons, maybe not having the first date, or maybe not having a double date. No, Christine's very undermining. I don't think so. I don't want to discuss it, because there's nothing left to say right now, after lying and say that he would do a get-together with David, after saying that he had a better relationship with David, after saying that he and Christine don't talk, and maybe they could talk in the future, but they just don't talk then. When confronted with it about possibly talking to her and getting together and doing a double date, which by the way is probably never going to happen, I think Christine and David were just being nice. I don't see them ever really socializing with Kody and Robyn. But then Suki says to him, well, why don't you get together? Why can't you heal this? And he's like, personal reasons. She's very undermining and then won't talk about it. And then it was really awkward. I had to cut out all this dead space that he was just staring at her, Suki, and not saying a word. And he, like, at one point, took a piece of lint and put it on the floor. And then she was like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I had a hair. And he was just being kind of imposing, and I could just if that would have had steam coming out of his ears. That's kind of how I envisioned it. And undermining is actually not what I would call Christine. And undermining is actually what narcissists do. They try to devalue people, minimize, deflect, and I'm like, what does he mean by undermining? What does he mean to undermine someone? That's what the action or process of lessening the effectiveness, power, or ability of someone or something, especially gradually or insidiously, lessening the effective power or ability of someone or something, so weakening their position or authority, often in a sneaky or gradual way, making someone less effective or confident, making them less strong or stable. He's trying to imply that he had, that Christine has some level of power over him, that she has the authority and the power to undermine him, right? And I don't think he really understands what undermining is. But if he truly believes he's being undermined, he doesn't want anyone to knock him off of his authority. He doesn't want someone to weaken his position. He doesn't want someone to make him feel less confident. So really, he doesn't want to hear her experience and what she's gone through. He doesn't want to hear how his behavior impacted her. He doesn't want to hear the truth. He just wants to deflect, because if he doesn't have to talk to her, apparently he can stay in his little bubble of superiority. But what I think he means by undermining, and this is just my assessment based on how he was acting, he was angry. He did not want to talk about Christine at all. I'm confident, my opinion, that he was mad about the child support, that he was mad that she was filing for child support, because when she left him, he made her promise that he wouldn't do that to her, which is so stupid. You can't literally force a person not to pursue their legal rights for a child. You can't force someone to make a promise about not doing child support, because legally, under the law, he's required to. So he's basically asking her to not follow the law, and then to be okay with him not following the law and not providing for his child. And any person that gets away from someone like that is going to do what's right for the kid, because at the end of the day, it's about what's right for the child. And what does it say to the child if you don't fight for them, right? What does it say to the child that if you don't fight, that their other parent does what's right for them? She's setting an example, truly, that she fought for her daughter, right? She's also establishing legally who has paternity or who has custody, what the custody agreement is, and then he's bound by an order with the court on making child support payments that was just finalized on May 21st, but this was like October 2nd or 3rd, and she filed for child support in September, like mid-September 12th or 13th. So he's seething at this moment because he's, in my opinion, angry that she had the audacity to seek child support from him. And initially, he fought her and filed a counterclaim against her, which everyone was like, he is so vindictive. That is so stupid. Why would he do that? And truly turned 15 in April. And when she turned 15, I mean the minute she turned 14, the judge has to take her account into consideration. And when she Turns 15, she's at the end of her freshman year of high school. They're not going to pull her out of high school and stick her in Flagstaff, and Kody doesn't want truly. He doesn't want to have her in his house full-time. If he wanted truly in his house full-time, she would have been in his house full-time when he was with Christine, but he never cared about truly, in my opinion, based on his behavior. He abandoned that baby the minute it was born because he was chasing Robyn, so he fought just to fight her to spite her. That's how I view it. And Kody also says that commentary about him is bad commentary, that the internet has it all wrong about him, and he's clearly upset about what we say and our views about his position because, again, we probably are undermining his authority and undermining his sense of self, but given the opportunity to literally, try to do the right thing here, he refuses, which tells me that he's still playing mind games. It doesn't. He just says whatever he thinks he can say to get out of the situation. And I honestly don't think Christine and David would ever really want to be in the same room with Kody or Robyn. Janelle made it clear that she doesn't even want to be in the same room as them. She doesn't want to be around them. Janelle was less willing to call out Kody for why she didn't like him, less willing to call it out for why they don't get along, but Christine was like going for the jugular about how awful he was to women, how much he mistreated them, how much he hurt them, abandoned them, neglected them, disposed of them. I mean, Janelle made a comment that Kody, while COVID was happening, told them that he didn't want to be in these relationships anymore because they were going to, make his lifespan shorter. And I'm assuming 'cause he's talking about the stress of it, and that because of that he didn't want to be in polygamy anymore because it was going to reduce his lifespan. And he makes a comment like, yeah, I didn't want to be with them. Great. I pushed them out. I wasn't interested in it anymore. Is that enough? Is that enough of me to take accountability? I wasn't interested in them. Well, Kody, if you just would say that and mean it, but Janelle said that Kody and Robyn will never take accountability, and Christine says that Kody will never take accountability, and I don't think that Kody means that Christine will undermine him. I don't think he likes Christine because Christine will show him a mirror, and narcissists hate being around the people that are truth tellers, and Christine is obviously still his scapegoat because Christine is the only one willing to call him out truthfully. Some people are going to say, well, she should just get over it. I think part of healing for anyone that's gone through a relationship like this is vocalizing their experience, and I think these women have every right to express themselves as honestly as they need to for as long as possible because what they endured was hell, pure hell. So what are your thoughts? Is this why Kody was seething with rage? Tell me in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed, and click the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye guys.